Hey, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Amanda, and this is Beyond a Ballot. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Beyond a Ballot podcast. We are so thrilled this week to have two women on the show who really served as an inspiration for us to start Beyond a Ballot. They have tremendous influence and success with their brilliant podcast, Pantsuit Politics, in the U.S. I'd like to welcome Sarah Stewart Holland and Beth Silvers from Pantsuit Politics. They're here with us for the next 45 minutes or so. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for joining us. And of course, Rachael is here with us too.
I am, and I'm currently fangirling a little bit because this has been a really big dream of ours for some time. And we are so thrilled to welcome Pantsuit Politics north of the border. For those who don't know, Pantsuit Politics is a U.S.-based podcast that prioritizes curiosity over conflict when it comes to political conversation. Sound familiar? A little bit.
To further introduce Sarah and Beth, a little bit of bio background. They met in college before going their separate ways for law school. Sarah pursued a career in politics as a congressional staffer and campaign aide, and Beth practiced law before serving as a human resources exec. They are also the authors of Now What? How to Move Forward When We're Divided, about basically everything. And I think you're wrong, but I'm listening, a guide to grace-filled political conversation. Everyone who is into politics should buy those books for their friends this holiday season. They both live in Kentucky, so they're joining us all the way from Kentucky. And like Rachel said, we have been so excited about this conversation, so let's dive in.
All right. My first question is, have you ever been to Canada?
I have.
You have? Where have you been?
Yep. Let's see. Oh, man. Okay, no, wait. I know this because it's when we moved and when we got our dog right when we got back. So it was 2017. My family and my best friend's family, who we often travel with, drove from Kentucky to Toronto and spent a week in Toronto. We had the absolute best time. I felt like we ate our way around the world. What an incredible food scene.
Yes.
And we went out and did some nature and hikes and exploring and swimming. We just had the best time.
Beth?
I have not been to Canada. I remember Sarah going to Toronto and telling me about like a pastry tour.
Yeah. I did a pastry
they went
tour.
on. I filed that away.
Yeah.
I would like to do that someday, but my heart's desire is to go to Vancouver. It's something my husband
I
and
have
talk
a room
about
for
quite a
you.
bit.
Come anytime.
Thank you.
We should just film a live episode in my house. That would be great.
Yes.
And that sounds perfect. And then we'll write it off
there
on our
you go.
taxes. That's
If
exactly
CRA
what we
is
go.
listening, do you
I
not?
really want to go to Quebec. I'm a Francophile. I love New Orleans. I love Paris. I love all French influenced cities. So I'd really like to go there.
You would love Quebec.
It's gorgeous.
It is a beautiful, beautiful province.
Okay, now my serious first question is about Pantsuit Politics and basically just why you guys decided to start a podcast to talk about politics in the United States. Beth?
Because my husband kept bugging me to start a podcast. That's the actual answer. I was a blogger at the time. I was writing a parenting blog with politics sprinkled in because I just didn't care and I wanted to write about what I wanted to write about. So I would do like a stroller review and then I would write about like the Syrian civil war. I truly did not care. It was a weird blog. And so Beth actually guest posted on my blog a couple of times, and I had been playing around with the idea of starting a podcast because my husband kept going, you should start a podcast. It's the right time. You should do this. You should do this. You'd be good at it. I mean, not to brag, but I did get most talkative in high school. So it was a natural fit. And so when Beth wrote some guest posts and they went over really well, and I thought, well, maybe this could be a really cool partnership because I had done some interviews and they just sat on my desktop. They never went anywhere. But I've always really liked partnerships. My first blog was a partner with a friend of mine from law school. That's how I kind of got into that arena. And so I reached out and said, would you be interested in starting a podcast? And she said, what the heck is that? And I said, don't worry. My husband's got it all figured out. To his eternal credit, he didn't just sort of bug me to do it, but he like learned how to do our editing. And so he did our sound editing for a long time. And we just started to, record in our bedrooms at the end of the day, Beth was working full time. We both had little babies, and pretty quickly got picked up by iTunes New and Noteworthy, which was the name of the game back in 2015. And then all of a sudden we had like not just like a fun experiment, but an actual listenership.
That's incredible. And what's the goal of Pantsuit Politics? Like, why did you feel it was necessary to have this conversation as part of the narrative?
Well, we started doing it for ourselves. The goal was just to have conversations between the two of us that we weren't hearing anywhere else. We wanted to talk about politics as full people, not with some kind of artificial distance between us and what we were discussing. You know, we're not journalists. We're not pundits. We just felt something when we engaged with the news, and we wanted to keep doing that. But in order to keep doing it, we needed to work out what we were feeling. And so really we were just talking to each other, and we decided to let people listen to that. And then we were very surprised when they decided to. I was very surprised, at least, that people wanted to listen. And you know, it's different now because we're more aware of how many people are listening. We feel a different level of responsibility than we did in those initial days, to be very careful and thoughtful. I hope we were always careful and thoughtful, but it's different now for sure. But the goal is still, first and foremost, for us to just show up and make sense of what we're seeing in the news. That's how it stays sustainable for us. I think that's how it stays interesting to the audience.
Do you have a particular topic that's most desired by your audience? Is there something that they, or are they coming in weekly as we are as part of your audience just to listen to, like, it's the news of the day, we know it's current, or is there something that they really like when you talk about?
I mean, I would say, you know, our tagline is a different approach to the news because what people really want to hear us talk about is sort of what's in the political zeitgeist. Like, what are people struggling with? What are people angry about? What are their relatives bringing in front of them and asking them to respond to? And so that is usually, I would say, sort of our biggest requests.
Interesting. We, as political commentators in Canada, one of the things that we've talked about a lot, if you were to ever tune into the shows, would be we often compare ourselves to American politics, like what's happening there, what is the temperature there. And the word that comes up continuously for us is divided. So why is American politics so divided? And Rachel and I were talking about this, and we said, is it the two-party system? Is that what's to blame? And do you think that American politics is divided?
I think yes and no. Yes, in the sense that certainly people like to take stands and are very team-oriented right now.
Yeah.
But in a sense, we've always been divided. And it's just, in what sense are you divided? I think right now our partisan affiliation is very strong, even as our parties are rather weak. The affiliation is strong. But at different times in our history, we have been divided in terms of like rural versus urban, northern versus southern, East Coast versus West Coast, you know. So I think we're always going to have a tendency as people to define ourselves in contrast to something else.
Right.
And I try to not get too burdened by that.
Okay.
I get frustrated by the sense that we're just so divided because that feels like a hopeless and simultaneously curable thing. Like if we just weren't so divided, things would be okay. And the truth is we're always going to have some sense of contrast. And at the same time, we always have an opportunity to move forward, even as we see things differently.
I love that answer. You're totally right.
Yeah, it's fun. One of the things that we say often here is that we're moving toward a more divided, at least rhetoric. When you talk about zeitgeist in Canada, things have moved into a direction where it feels more angry. Have you noticed over the course of your podcast, and you've also worked in politics, have you noticed a tone change in politics over the last number of years? Or do you feel like that's just that's just something we like to talk about now?
No, I think that there's really very little debate that the candidacy and presidency of Donald Trump really ushered in a more aggressive form of political rhetoric. The sense that you could stand and insult people and you could direct your, campaign zealots to attack someone in a crowd, right? Like this was some really out of the box behavior. And that's what appealed to so many people, is this idea like that there are no more rules. We can be as angry and aggressive as we want to be. So I think that definitely ushered in an intensity that then was absolutely exacerbated by the pandemic, and people sensed that the stakes were high and they could do what they wanted to, you know, sort of meet the moment. And I think that there's these sort of like big influences, and then there's an undercurrent of foundational changes to the way sort of the formality in society that is fading, the presence of social media, the way people can be anonymous and just hateful, as we say in the South. And, you know, I've definitely seen among our listenerships, you know, I think a lot about how hard this is for areas of the country that really identify with that niceness. Like a lot of your neighbors just to the south, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, places where just the idea that like part of our identity is being warm and polite and kind, and the sense that like even that is evaporating is really, really hard for people. And so I would imagine that is the same in Canada, or very similar, the sense that like, but we're the nice ones, and why is everybody being so mean to each other? Is really, really difficult. I mean, we have a lot of Canadian listeners, and there's a similar vibe that we hear from them, that we hear from the sort of upper northern, midwestern part of the United States.
I've been a long time listener of your podcast, and one of the things that really attracted to me a long time ago to engage with Pantsuit Politics was the fact that you guys come from different political backgrounds, and yet you just have conversations like humans. And it's something that Amanda and I have tried to replicate, because Amanda and I come from different political backgrounds, and yet we every week have this conversation that's just as Canadians, as humans, as moms. Why is that a priority for you, especially in the current U.S. political climate?
I was actually thinking about this in response to Amanda's earlier question. I think people listen less because of a topic and more because of our relationship. Because even when we completely agree on what we're discussing, we're very different people. We have different styles. You can hear it in our voices. You know, we have very different personalities. And I think that modeling how different personalities not only can have relationships with each other, but like that brings out something wonderful in both people, that it's enriching to be in relationship with someone who's different from you, is just really important. You know, first and foremost, this is kind of like what I said earlier. The most important thing to me in having that respectful disagreement with Sarah is my relationship with Sarah. I love making our podcast, but my relationship with Sarah is more important than making our podcast now. It wasn't always that way. We weren't close when we started the show, but now we are. And so the relationship with her is paramount to me. It also just doesn't feel hard because I am looking at her. We're doing it consistently. We're practicing with each other. So even when we get to a topic that's hard, you know, for us, we have had an excruciating week because of the terrorist attack in Israel and the resulting war. It's been excruciating. That is so hard to talk about with care for every person who might be listening.
Yes.
But it is not hard to be in conversation with my friend about it and to treat her well as we do it. And so I hope that's what people take from our show. You know, I never want somebody to listen to have their opinion about something influenced as much as I want them to listen to have their way of expressing and listening and asking questions influenced.
That makes me want to reach out and hug Amanda over the camera. You know, we also covered the Israel topic last week, and it was really difficult. And it's something that, you know, Amanda supported me through having a very personal conversation. And so you're right. It's about the relationship and just having that conversation with friends. I can't agree more. I love that.
One of the reasons why we started this podcast was because we were concerned that the tone had taken a turn in politics, and that would that women in particular may reject having conversations about politics because of the tone, because of fear of retaliation on social media, because of fear of having an opinion about something, and or not being informed enough. Do you feel like, we're curious in the US, how do you feel the engagement of women in politics and these political conversations is going, and what are the barriers to that right now?
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, that was definitely a primary motivation for us too. As we started the podcast, I would have, because I was such an sort of outwardly political person due to my, sort of career experience and posting from my blog, I would have so many situations in which women would sort of like corner me and want to talk about it. They like sort of knew I was a safe space. And I thought, man, we should create this space online where people, particularly women, feel like, I want to hear about this. I don't have to show up and be an expert. I don't have to worry about being sort of shouted down. I can listen and feel engaged, and feel heard, and find some language around what I'm thinking about this. And that's, a lot of the feedback we get is, you're helping me articulate how I feel. You're helping me feel confident in situations to say, no, my opinion does matter. And as a citizen, that makes me experienced and relevant inside this conversation. I think right now, people generally, but particularly anyone sort of conflict avoidant and who carries a lot of the sort of weight of their close relationships or the family, or doing a lot of emotional labor, which tends to be women, are really checking out. Are really just like, I can't do this. I'm out.
Totally.
I mean, we hear a lot of listeners who tell us, like, you're the only thing I listen to because you're the only thing I can stomach, basically. That I don't feel like I'm just eaten up with anxiety from listening. And then I know you'll, sort of treat the subjects with care and not just bombard me with intense information and provoke anxiety. So, but I think, generally you're just seeing people sort of walk away from news and politics in a lot of different places. Podcasting, news sites, cable news. People are just like, this, I don't want this. I care about the world. I want to know what's going on, but I can't do it this way. And that's why we really try to present a different way.
And it's interesting because at the same time, like, women's political engagement is very strong in the United States compared to other times in our history. With Roe versus Wade being overturned, Donald Trump's election, a bunch of factors have converged to really activate a group of women. But I think that exists in harmony with what Sarah described, because that has opened up a lot of very activist-oriented spaces for women in politics. And not all of us are activists at heart.
Right.
And so it's that the politics themselves are depressing, and that really mobilizes some folks, but it really turns off a lot of other folks. And so I hope that we can continue to be like that one place that people can handle if they are not ready to like jump in with both feet and grab a sign and buy all the t-shirts,
Totally. And that's a big thing that Amanda and I were talking about in regards to Canada and the US, because there's certain issues that are galvanizing Canadian women to get more involved. But what is it that you think are the priority issues for American women right now?
Well, I definitely think the overturning of Roe v. Wade has galvanized an enormous amount of American women, particularly sort of apolitical women who made assumptions about, in particular, I think the idea that both sides are the same and nothing really changes or matters. I mean, I think that the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the dramatic effect that has on reproductive access woke a lot of people up to like, no, this stuff does matter. And they're not all equally bad. And I think you see that in a lot of the sort of referendum results around the country. So, I think January 6th affected a lot of people and sort of kind of woke them up. But it's such a powerful pull to go back to the idea that nothing really matters. It's all corrupt. It doesn't, whatever.
Yeah.
The cynicism. The internet will feed you an endless stream of information to support that cynicism about the political process in any country, but particularly ours.
Yeah. I think it's the schools too.
Yeah.
That's where I see the women in my life most directly interested in engaging with the political process, because COVID activated a lot of families who hadn't been involved before, either, pro or against safety measures. And the tail of that has been what is colloquially described as the reading wars.
Right.
We have a lot of attempts at book banning and restrictions.
Yes.
Like, it's different by district, but I see all of it as an outgrowth of the mask conversation first, and people realizing that actually a lot matters in your school system. The way that our school districts are run, if you show up, you could have a lot of impact around your local schools. And so I think that's healthy involvement in some ways, and it has opened a big door for some unhealthy involvement too.
I want to continue on the topic of what's galvanizing women and talk a little bit about the 2024 presidential campaign. We're in for a big year of politics in the United States, potentially in Canada too. Maybe we'll see a federal election, who knows? But ours are a little less on schedule than yours. But what do you feel is the biggest issue that women are looking at when it comes to the 2024 presidential campaign?
I don't think they want to look yet.
No.
I mean, the sense that I really get is that this election just feels like, do we have to?
Really?
I think we have been craving stability here, especially since January 6th. And with COVID, with the war in Ukraine, with our domestic politics making every budget cycle a nail biter, now with what's going on in Israel, I just think that the idea of a big presidential election makes everyone a little queasy. And the idea that it is going to be an election between President Biden, who we know and whose age really presents a point of concern for lots of people, and Donald Trump, who we also know and who carries every point of concern you might imagine. It's just tough. It makes it not exciting. It doesn't feel like there's much to learn or talk about. So unless something materially shifts, I think activating people around this election is going to be challenging until we get really close. And I think then once the reality sets in, if it is a Trump versus Biden rematch and that really sinks in, I think women will activate again about reproductive rights, yes, but also just about Trump's personal demeanor and history with women. The volume with Trump, I think, when rubber meets road, will bring people out.
And
I hope.
Who do you think that match is going to be against? I mean, we're seeing two women in the race, one Democrat, one Republican currently. Who do you see as the front runners or anticipate that we'll be watching in the fall of 2024?
Oh, I think it's going to be Trump and Biden, unfortunately. Yeah. I mean, I don't say unfortunately for President Biden. I think he's done a good job. And I understand that his age is his concern, or a concern, but I try to believe people when they say this is my ability. And this is what I'm capable of. And so, yeah, I mean, Donald Trump is outraising everyone. He is outpolling everyone. Yeah. I think there is a desire or a hopeful strategy that if another person can come out strong in one of the beginning contests, either in Iowa or New Hampshire, that they could use that to build momentum. But Donald Trump and his allies have manipulated the party process because, you're really just electing delegates. You're not voting for Donald Trump or Joseph Biden. And so he has sort of manipulated that process to further weight the scales in his favor. And so, barring some sort of massive change, which could happen, it could happen. I anticipate those two being the nominees.
Oh, I'm rooting for Kamala. I love her.
It feels so, we're like outsiders looking in, but obviously very involved and talk about it frequently. It just feels so stunning that he can be back on the ballot. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like desensitized to that?
No,
Okay.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
I feel not at all desensitized.
You don't. Okay.
But then there are moments when I realize that maybe I am more than I think. Like I heard a commentator today talking about the fact that we don't have a Speaker of the House, as we're sitting down to record.
Right.
And that it is stunning that Jim Jordan has been put forward as the potential speaker. But then he said, but it's not more stunning than the fact that Republicans are going to nominate Trump for the presidency again.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? That's an excellent point. Yeah. So I guess I tend to compartmentalize because there's so much and it is all so deeply disappointing. And I see people trying to make moves for Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
I see her picture being featured in various newsletters and, the strategic placement of articles. I see money flowing to her. I get that there is a faction of folks trying to make that happen. And I would love it too. I would sleep better if Nikki Haley were the Republican nominee. But it feels very daunting because of how our primaries work and who votes in those primaries.
I just have to put it on the record here. As Canadians, we have no idea how your primaries work or the Electoral College.
That is an episode for another day.
We'll have to have you back to just do the 101 on what the Electoral College is and delegates and such, because we just do not have that here.
So
don't worry, most Americans could use that overview too.
Well, I mean, it's very decentralized. It depends on what state you're talking about too.
Oh,
especially the primary process.
Oh, that's crazy.
So we were talking the other night and we said, will we see a female president of the United States in our lifetime?
Yes.
What do you think? What are your yes? Oh, that was like a convincing
very confident.
Yes. My dog is barking. Cookie. Cookie, come here.
Cookie wants to join the conversation. What, Beth?
Oh, poor Cookie.
She usually has an insight to share at some point.
Sarah left the building, but it's not because we asked the question of whether there will be a female president or not. She didn't walk out because of that one.
Oh, poor Cookie. Well, let's just wait for Sarah.
Yeah, we'll pause.
I want to know why that answer.
That's why I usually keep her in here with me. Sorry, my handyman showed up and she was free.
No problem. Okay, let's just go from that was very confident. So why are you so confident that there will be a woman president in our lifetime?
Because I think a majority of Americans want that. I just think a majority of Americans think it's time. We also already elected a female. She just lost in the Electoral College. But more people voted for Hillary Clinton than voted for Donald Trump.
Okay.
I think it feels like an unfulfilled promise too. So many people really celebrated the election of President Obama because that was part of fulfilling an unfulfilled promise.
Yeah.
And I think that that's just hanging out there for women. It's like we need to be a country that can do this. It's off brand, that we haven't done it. This is not how America is supposed to work. And I think that I think Nikki Haley would have a very good chance in the general election if she were to make it out of the Republican primary. I don't know if she would win, but I think particularly a conservative woman would have a real shot, and I think it's only a matter of time before a woman of some.
Why do
some
you say
party
Canada hasn't had a
wins.
female prime minister, right?
We've had one
Briefly.
She was not elected.
When was that?
She took over a party because we don't elect our prime minister.
Right.
It's the leader of the party with the most seats, and so that was 94. Was it?
Okay.
Kim Campbell.
And I've heard it from her mouth where she's told me, I can't believe 35 years later, I'm still the only one.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. Hopefully soon. Why do you say a conservative woman?
I was going to ask that too. Yeah, curious about that.
Well, I think that the Republican Party in particular looks for opportunities to prove that it is not sexist, racist, anti-LGBTQ. Like they are very proud when they can put forward more diverse candidates. And so I think there would be a real rallying effect around a woman if she were to make it through the Republican primary. I also think that it's just we, especially with Roe versus Wade out there as this lightning rod issue still, I think there would be something about a conservative woman that would settle some of the otherwise really sexist behavior that could come at a woman in an election like this. Americans tend to look for balancing factors, right? So you'll see often if we have a Republican president, then maybe we're going to have a Democratic Senate. We look for ways to check what's going on in other areas. And so I think that voters on some subconscious level might see a conservative woman as like a balancing thing. Like it would be really pushing things pretty far if it were like a very progressive woman. But a conservative woman would be like, we're pushing just far enough for this election. I don't agree with this. I don't think that's a great approach, but it's what I see, that we look for ways to check ourselves all the time. It's kind of in our DNA.
That's really great insight.
And see, this is an area where we disagree, because I think you look at Barack Obama, and not only was he a Democrat, he was a pretty progressive one, at least in the perception of most Americans. And I think I don't disagree with Beth about that sort of how people think about it. I just don't think I don't disagree that that's how the Republican Party likes to see itself. The problem is their nominating process and the way they treat those candidates, see Nikki Haley right now, is not conducive to turn a woman, even a conservative woman, into a presidential candidate. I just don't think they treat them well enough, honestly, and the donors support them in a way that could produce a candidate that could win the nomination.
Okay, but you're both confident that there's going to be a woman in our lifetime. So
I guess
I'm
going to be real mad if that doesn't happen.
You're going to haunt everybody from the grave.
Yes.
I guess then the question is, who is that woman? Like, who are the up and comers in American politics? And we wanted to ask you, for our listeners, who should people be following,
watching,
and just hoping for in our lifetime? Who do you think it could be?
Well, I'll answer as the designated Democrat for my side. I think that obviously, Vice President Kamala Harris is a very obvious heir to the Biden administration. That's a tough one. That's a tough thing to clinch as a vice president. It's kind of a thankless task. Yeah. But being the first female vice president is not a bad thing to put on your resume or encyclopedia entry, so
for sure.
And I think she's really trying to navigate and that role and do better at figuring out how to connect with the American populace. And so I don't think she's out of the fight yet. I think Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, would be a fantastic presidential candidate. And look, I have watched my husband and my 14-year-old son follow Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's social media presence and career for years now. And she, I think, is one of the best in the game. Like, she's just very, very good. She's a very good politician, a very smart politician. And she's so young. Only thing she has to do is keep getting better. And so I would not at all be surprised. I think she'll probably run for Senate. I would not at all be surprised if ultimately she ran for president. She has an incredibly loyal base of support, not just in New York City, but across the nation, due to her just genius use of social media. And she has the thing that the younger generation looks for, which is authenticity. I believe every word out of her mouth, from lipstick recommendations to how she feels about Jim Jordan when she talks on Instagram. I don't always agree with it, but I believe it. And so I would never, ever take my eyes off her.
When I think about AOC, I always think like this powerhouse. I love following her as well, but I also think of her as like target practice. Like she is the target for so much hate in the U.S.
That's how you know you're up and coming as a female.
Yeah,
politician.
that's right.
Like if everybody likes you,
Scary.
you're doing something wrong. Well,
Yeah,
I always
true.
just think too, it's like she's so beautiful, it just breaks a part of their brain. Like they just cannot hold
Totally.
that she is so beautiful and also somebody whose politics they hate so much. It's like, well, I can't call her ugly. What do I do? Oh no. And they're just like so confused. It's like very painful.
Beth, any other names that you would tell our Canadian listeners to watch, listen to, follow?
Yeah, I'm not a Republican anymore, but I will try to do the other side of the aisle here. I would never count Liz Cheney out. I think Liz Cheney has emerged from the January 6th process with a really interesting profile among a really interesting cross section of Americans. Sorry, give me just a second. I'm trying to arrange my daughter's voice lesson.
That's
drop
okay.
off.
We're all moms here. We get it.
Thank
There's
you.
nothing we get more.
I'm like looking at the clock, knowing that my 3 are going to be tearing through a door any second. Mom,
Sorry.
We edit.
We got it. I think Liz Cheney has emerged with a really interesting profile among a really interesting cross-section of Americans. I think she would never get through a Republican primary, but I would not count her out as a major political figure and somebody who could even, I think, end up in a cabinet level position in a bunch of different types of administrations. She's a Democrat, but a more centrist Democrat who I would keep an eye on is Abigail Spanberger. I think she is wicked smart. She is right now representative from Virginia. She has national security experience. Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan is another person I would put in that bucket. Also a very centrist Democrat. I would like to see Susan Rice back on the scene. She was vetted for vice president for the Biden administration and served in the Obama administration, another national security kind of rock star. So I think that there are a lot of women here with real potential. I'm struggling to think on the Republican side of the aisle, Elise Stefanik is probably the person who would come to mind for most people from the GOP as sort of rising star Republican legislator. And certainly a few years ago, I would have said, oh, Elise Stefanik, but she has gone all in with the Donald Trump contingent of the party. And I think in the short term, that has elevated her profile quite a bit. And in the long term, probably means that she will not be the president of the United States.
I can be bipartisan and give a Republican.
Yeah,
for it.
Who I'm endlessly fascinated by. Her name is Julia Letlow. She's from Louisiana. She came to Congress because her husband died of COVID. She's very young. She's 42. She has very, very young children.
Wow.
She has one of the most fascinating political ads I've ever seen, which was basically telling everyone, well, this is who's going to take care of my kids if I go to Congress. Like she's sitting there, she's watching TV, her little kids are playing at her feet, and then her husband's parents and her parents literally come and knock on the door, come in, pick the kids up off the ground, and then she goes out the door to DC. It's wild. You should look it up.
Yeah,
you should look it up. It is the wildest political ad I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
And she is very interesting. Listen, she's very conservative. I mean, she's from Louisiana. She's very conservative. She has a lot of policy positions that I don't respect, but I'm sort of endlessly fascinated by her biography, and she's taken, I feel like, the sort of Hillary Clinton approach. She went to Congress and she just put her head down and worked hard. And she's very, establishment. She's not like the Chaos Caucus. She's not up there sort of like, threatening to shut down the government. She's just sort of being an establishment Republican. But I think probably just because of her biography and sort of being very, very curious about the choices she makes because of her age and the age of her children, I'm always sort of keeping an eye on her.
Okay, I really loved that part.
Great recommendations.
That was totally fascinating.
We have a tradition of ending on the hardest question possible. So I'm so glad that we once again are carrying that on. This is something that I'm interested in. And so you'll have to bear with me because it's a personal interest question. With everything going on in the world, all the conflicts, everything we've seen in Israel this week, do you feel like there's a new world order happening? And does as Americans, does that make you anxious? If so?
I think we are certainly in a transitional period. And I don't know how the transition will will end, or what the new stasis will be. I don't know. I think a year ago, I probably would have said, yes, I am extremely anxious because I think there is a new world order forming, and it is a very, very negative one. I am more optimistic today because of the partnerships internationally that have formed, the way that the United States, Canada, European countries have come together around defending democracy in the world, around fairness in international trade, around climate. It's a mess, right? And we're never all on the same page, and we're going to have our disagreements, but it feels like a mess among friends,
right?
And a mess among people who are really trying to work together. And I think, we talked about Vice President Harris a minute ago. She has spent so much time and energy in the Indo-Pacific region with partners there. And I just see, Australia, and I just see across the globe these relationships. Diplomacy feels like it's on the rise to me, to match the authoritarianism that's on the rise. And so I think the last 2 years, Sarah and I have talked about this a lot, feel like a big advertisement for the fact that things really do matter. The people you elect matters. The way they approach foreign policy matters. The time they spend with other world leaders matters. All these summits with a zillion acronyms that we can't pay attention to, those are extremely important. And so while I still think that so many things are shifting, and they just have to because of technology, because of COVID, and it's going to be a long, weird spiral that we're in, I feel very optimistic about where we might come out as a new stasis.
That's really nice to hear, because
I am similarly optimistic. I also think when we talk like this about the world and about authoritarianism and democracy and world orders, the unstated assumption is that we would or want to reach some point of stasis where we've all decided on the answer and then we just stick there. And that is not available to us. And I think it's always important to remind ourselves of that. Even, I think post World War II, we had this sort of thing that we settled it.
That's
we
right.
decided, guys, we're done.
Totally.
And that's not how it works. I am hopeful because I think that fundamentally authoritarianism is brittle. It can secure its own power only through violence and oppression. And that is nowhere close to stasis. That is something you have to be tending to constantly. And, I think there was this moment where we were like, man, does China have it figured out? Is it better to have an authoritarian government where in the face of all this division, you can just tell people what to do? And we can look at the Chinese economy right now and say, nope, that was not that. No, the answer is no. That was a bad idea and continues to be a bad idea. And people flee China and Russia and all these places that we think, oh, well, maybe authoritarianism has some upsides. It doesn't. And so I'm not fearful just because I don't think that's a winning strategy. I don't think democracy is perfect, but I do think it's the best answer we've come up with so far as a species. And I'm pretty confident in that assessment until somebody else figures out something better, which encouraging. Love to see that. Love to see you try. Love to see it. Love to see us figure out the next evolution of that. But for now, this seems like the best we've got. And I think, as far as sort of America's role in that, I am encouraged by diplomacy that says this is about partnership. This is about pressure. This is about diplomacy and transitions. But I also know the way that I started this question, that stasis is not available to us. And this is a point of transition. And I do think it is inevitable that we will get to a point in which force is required in order to keep some sort of global order. I don't think that America or Canada or other democratic nations will be able to exert pressure from the sidelines forever. I think there will be a moment, and I think we're creeping really close to it in Ukraine. I think we're creeping really close to it with Taiwan. I think we're creeping really close to it now with Israel, where we will have to say, okay, well, we have reached the limits of what diplomacy and pressure and partnership can do here. And force must be on the table. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't think that necessarily looks like World War III. I think it will look different, but I don't think it is ever off the table completely.
Well, you handled the really tough question really well.
We've had a lot of practice.
Thank you for that. We're going to end with a couple of minutes. It's hard to actually transition to this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm hopeful, but I think there'll probably be some more war, guys.
Totally.
Let's go to a game. We do that all the time on Pantsuit Politics. It's fine.
And now a little trivia.
Yeah, no.
But that was really powerful and insightful and thoughtful. So thank you. We do have some trivia, which we're going to end on. There are no points for this. There's no trophy, but we thought it would be fun.
Canadian trivia.
So should we jump in, Rachel?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. First question. We have 5 quick questions. Whoever has the answer, just shoot it out.
About Canada.
Who is the leader or a leader of an opposition party in Canada?
I don't know this. I don't know the answer.
Any clues, guesses?
Can you name a political party in Canada?
Oh my goodness. This is embarrassing.
This is embarrassing, you guys.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's just Justin Trudeau is so all-consuming.
Yeah.
He just soaks up all the coverage.
Well, and also
he does.
We hear a lot about like rural versus more city-centric dynamics in Canada. Like we basically pull out the parts that seem to apply to us. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. What about any female politician in Canada? Can you name one?
No.
Can you name a Canadian politician?
I mean, just Justin Trudeau.
Just Trudeau. That's the only one.
Do you know about the news of Justin Trudeau over the summer?
I mean, I know that he was calling. Listen, I'm following this India situation very closely, and the assassination of the Sikh leader, or the Sikh leader. Like, I am interested. I am following. I am fascinated. I thought what he did was very important and arguably brave to say, no, you have to participate in this. Like, because speaking of a new world order, this like, I'm just going to pop over to your country and kill somebody I don't like. We got to stop that. That's not okay.
Totally.
So I am very invested in this story.
I actually wanted to ask you guys a question about this if I can.
Yeah,
because I know that his popularity has been waning considerably. In America, an event like this could shift that dynamic fast. Is that happening in Canada? Do you think he's becoming more popular because of the way that he is handling the situation with India?
Unfortunately, I'll take it from a person that comes from a different party background than Justin Trudeau. I don't think so. I think that there's been so many things that have taken place within the same period of time that we saw all that India story unfolding, that it's kind of changed the channel here. And we also, and Amanda and I have talked about this on previous episodes, whether or not governments expire in Canada. I think that he's been in power for a long time. And so it's going to take something pretty big to shift his popularity, I think, at this point. That's my 2 cents.
Do you think...
Wait a second. Yeah. He's the Liberal Party, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I do know a party.
There you go.
There you go.
Are we overthinking
That's the only party you need to know,
Wait,
Sarah.
I see what you said, but are we overthinking it? Is the other one just conservative?
Yes.
We have
good job.
No, but we have the NDP who are a very
we have more
strong.
though.
Yes, right. Because you have coalitions. Got it.
Yeah.
Do you have a Green Party?
We do.
We do.
Yes.
See, look, Beth, we were overthinking these answers.
Well, and we know a little bit about Trudeau and Indigenous rights, and that being an issue. I mean, like, it's not that we're paying no attention, guys, but holding on to names. Is
I have
I'm
curious though because
bad.
I think we should drop trivia, but I'm curious about this. If I can have you for like 2 more minutes, what do you think the perception of Trudeau is in the U.S.?
Oh, I think that people see him as popular and good at his job and very like Obama adjacent.
Yeah.
And also like buddy movie with Emmanuel Macron. The people who pay attention at all to world affairs, I think are accustomed to seeing the two of them together in a positive way.
I was also very interested in his separation.
Yeah.
go down a little
That
bit
did
of
happen.
a diet. I went. It's hard. It's a hard job, and it's hard on a marriage. And they've been together a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See,
And it is
sounds
hard.
like Trudeau's.
I told you. I pay attention.
Sounds like Trudeau's got a real future in the United States.
He does. He probably
Totally.
does. He probably could.
should
When
go
he's
there.
done, he can come
Isn't
here
that-
and speak and make all the bunnies. I don't think he needs it, but
Isn't that how it always is, though?
Yes.
Like, every woman I've ever talked to about her career, I've always said, you will be more popular outside your organization than within it. Like, you'll win community awards, you'll get industry awards, and the people you work with will be like, you're such a pain. It's just, that's what we do.
Well, I think it's nice to hear. I think it's nice for all of us to hear that there's a perception, that there's this sort of goodwill perception elsewhere. We always like to know how we're kind of appearing on the world stage.
well, and I just feel like there's lots of coverage of like he's unpopular, but he's still there. He ain't that unpopular
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
because he's still
Agreed.
there for very many
Agree with
years. I
that.
mean, how long has he been prime minister now?
Since 2015. So what?
Woo!
Yeah, we
That's
have
a long time.
We got long runs up here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taking another crack at it. So could be another 4 more years.
Because he's young. How old is he?
He's pretty young. He's 51, 52,
Okay.
something like
We-
51. maybe.
Unlike your current
I
president,
think we're also decent.
right.
I'm sorry,
unlike your
Rachel.
current president, most of our leaders are very young.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
That's
Yeah.
a big difference. I think as Americans, we're also desensitized to, like, he's unpopular.
Yeah.
We're like, well, they all are.
Right.
He's popular. Only the people who aren't doing the job anymore
Mm.
are popular.
I think that.
Okay,
for-
what's the other trivia? I want all the
Oh.
trivia.
do you know the name Pierre Poilievre?
Yes.
he's
It's okay. You can also say no.
I think so.
I
It
do
sounds
not.
familiar.
he's one to watch for your listeners.
Okay.
Okay.
He's the potential next prime minister of our country.
Okay.
He's the Conservative Party leader who likes
Okay.
to fashion himself against the Republicans.
Oh.
He wouldn't say that, but yes.
Maybe I think, you know, that name sounds familiar. I feel like I read a quote from him about the Sikh leader's assassination.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Do you know
That's
who
why
the
he's not
government?
This is so tricky, though, because how does liberal and conservative stack up versus our liberal
It's a
and conservative? You know,
Great question. And I would say we are so much more closely aligned than your Republican Democrats. It's crazy. Like, I think for most Canadians, I teach a university class and I often put a political spectrum on the board and say, you know, here's where we lay, here's where the U.S. Democrats are. And people are shocked at how the Canadian parties are pretty aligned on most of our foundational issues. There's just
Well, we thought we were separated and we were aligned and we didn't know how crazy it could get out there. So
Yeah.
keep an eye on that.
fair,
Yeah,
very
exactly.
fair. Do you know who the Governor General is?
Do you know what a governor general
No,
is?
I don't know what is that like the head of your provinces?
No,
No, those are premiers.
it's
Okay.
the Queen's representative in Canada.
Oh, it's like your
Mm.
president in
Yeah.
a regular parliamentary system. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And who was Canada's first prime minister?
Wait. It wasn't Justin's dad.
No,
That's too late.
No, but he
He
was a
was.
prime minister.
He was a prime minister. I knew that, and his mom was a movie star. I know a lot about Justin Trudeau, guys.
Do you want us to send you a
The
signed
big
poster?
takeaway is Justin
kinda
Trudeau's
do.
popularity.
Should
I
we
love it
send
so
her a
much.
signed poster of Justin
Yeah,
Trudeau?
I kind of would like that.
Okay, that's the
Oh, I
gift
love
we're gonna
that.
have to work on for you.
No, I don't know the first one.
Governor, the first prime minister,
Sir John
John
A.
A.
MacDonald.
It's a conservative.
Sir John A. MacDonald. Okay, I got it now. This is good.
There you go.
I feel like I'm learning so
Couple
much.
I mean, I feel bad that we have proven out the American stereotype of only caring about ourselves. But, you know,
no.
Our
I care
no.
deeply about Justin Trudeau. I think I have established that firmly.
just Justin, the one Canadian Sarah cares about.
The one that matters.
The one that matters.
for now. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
has
Okay,
been
well,
fun.
we're gonna have to get you
guys
guys
are fun.
up here, and we're gonna have to find a way for you to meet Justin Trudeau. So
He
That
should
sounds
go
great.
on your
He
podcast.
should come on our
Yeah.
podcast.
We would love that.
Ooh.
We would
He
have a
should
good
do
time.
that.
and then he should come on
That's-
ours.
Well, that too.
Yeah, that too. He should probably start with
Sounds
y'all.
good.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we have to leave it there, although we could be here all day. We really don't want to say goodbye to you guys. This has been so much fun. We want to thank our incredible guests, Sarah Stewart Holland and Beth Silvers from Pantsuit Politics, for being with us today. Please please subscribe to their podcast. I do, and I absolutely look forward to all the new episodes. And make sure to follow them on all the social media platforms if you want to learn more about the U.S. and U.S. politics.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thanks to Danny Horowitz and Jonathan Panetta for our music, and to Tim Truax, our producer. We will be speaking to you next week.
Thanks, guys.